Chapter 9. Triplets. Night was closing in. Wolf-Boy got up from the gloomy group by the fire and lit the lanterns in the deep-set window-sills, while Aunt Zelda began to explain. It was a lovely sunny day, and I had left the door open. I was organizing the potion cupboard, and I thought I would give the bowls a clean, so I put them on the desk over there. She waved at an odd-looking desk that had feet like a duck. And I went to get the gold bright from the top shelf at the back behind the stairs. Well, I couldn't find it, so then I had to sort through everything. I suppose I took a while looking for it. You see, it was hidden behind the frog fusions, which was next to the marvel mixture, which I am sure it never used to be. But the marvel mixture always shines so much that you can't see anything unless you almost close your eyes, and of course frog fusions is a really big bottle, as we have so many frogs here, and it seems a shame to waste them. But the trouble is you can't see anything through that murky green stuff. But I found it at last wedged behind the bottle in a little crevice thingy, and when I went back to the desk I tripped right over it. Over what? Asked Septimus, who had got lost on the frog fusions. The marsh python. Great ugly green thing, thick as a sewer pipe, snaking in through the door all the way to the desk, with its horrible flat head staring around, and its long green tongue flicking in and out. Aunt Zelda shuddered. The wretched thing stretched all down the path to the motte. In fact, most of it was still in the motte. I think it had been after Bert, because later I found her under my bed with her feathers in a terrible state. What did you do? Asked Septimus. I gave her some milk and balm brew. It always calms her down. You gave the python some milk? What? Zelda means she gave Bert some milk and balm brew, said Wolf-Boy. He turned to Aunt Zelda. So, what did you do with the python? I swept it out with the begone broom, said Aunt Zelda, shuddering at the memory. Later I found that a bowl was missing, and I realized what had happened. That disgusting snake had swallowed it. So I put the 2 bowls away, with a return spell. It's only a matter of time. The bowl will come back one day. Things that belong together always do. It will be too late by then, said Jenna flatly. Aunt Zelda looked desolate. Jenna, dear, I am so sorry. I know I should have told you, but I hoped the dragon boat would recover her strength in her own way, and we would never need to use the triple again. Now I understand why you wouldn't do the revive, said Jenna. It wasn't about it being better for the dragon boat to heal herself at all. It was because you lost a bowl. I wish you'd told me the truth. Jenna was trying not to feel angry, but she could not believe that Aunt Zelda had kept something so important from her. She remembered what Sarah said about witches. They tell you what they want you to know, not what you want to know. Jenna had been stroking Bert, who lay sleeping on the cushion beside her, but being stroked by someone who was upset made Bert feel edgy. Suddenly the duck gave Jenna's hand a sharp peck. Jenna, to her utter embarrassment, burst into tears. Hey, Jen, said Septimus, it's okay. No, it's not, Jenna sniffed. We can fix it. I know we can, Septimus insisted. But how? Jenna asked, blowing her nose on her red silk handkerchief. Septimus picked up one of the bowls and turned it over in his hands. When he's got the fire going, I bet Marcellus can make another one. I'm afraid he can't, dear, said Aunt Zelda. A new bowl would not belong. It couldn't communicate with the others. You see, they are all from one original piece of ancient gold. Ah, cloned gold. Gnomed gold? Asked Aunt Zelda, whose hearing was not as good as it had been. Cloned. Each one belongs to the other, like identical triplets. Oh! Septimus suddenly realized what he had said. He glanced at Jenna. The shock at the disappearance of the 3rd bowl had put all thoughts of Wolf-Boy's brothers out of Jenna's mind. But now she was glad to think of something else for a while. She nudged Septimus. Go on. Ahem, said Septimus nervously. Suddenly it seemed such a big thing to tell Wolf-Boy. The little cottage fell silent. Aunt Zelda stared mournfully at the fire. Triplets, said Jenna, trying to get Septimus to speak. Weird, don't you think? Said Wolf-Boy. What's weird? Jenna asked. Triplets, twins, people being identical. Wolf-Boy shook his head. I don't know why, but whenever I see twins or triplets, it always gives me a peculiar feeling. Right here. Wolf-Boy pushed his fist against his stomach. Something about people looking the same, I guess. Septimus and Jenna exchanged glances. Tell him, Jenna mouthed. Wolf-Boy was a good lip reader. Tell him what? He asked suspiciously. Septimus looked at Wolf-Boy. There might be another reason why you feel like that. He pushed his fist against his stomach, just as Wolf-Boy had done. Yeah, said Wolf-Boy, picking up a bowl and twirling it to catch the reflections from the firelight. Identical triplets, said Septimus. I mean... Wolf-Boy put the bowl down and stared at Septimus, puzzled. What? Septimus floundered. Well, some people actually are triplets, but they don't know they are, but even so they still kind of know, deep down, because even though they can't remember it, they were together once. I mean, so close together, you can't imagine it, and so that's why they get this weird thing, when they hear about triplets, and... You all right, 412? Wolf-Boy asked. Yep, fine. Jenna could bear it no longer. Sep, just tell him straight. Wolf-Boy looked worried. Tell him what straight? He asked. Septimus took a deep breath. You are an identical triplet. We've found your brothers. Well, Beetle has. He went to the Young Army Record Office, and there are 2 more like you, 410 and 411. Geez. Wolf-Boy slid down to the floor with a bump. Septimus grinned. I suppose you're the lost bowl, he said. Swallowed by the python, Jenna added. Aunt Zelda looked up, shocked. Swallowed by the python? Who? It's all right, Zelda. No one's been swallowed by the python, Wolf-Boy said gently. But it seems... Wow, it's so weird. He grinned. It seems I got 2 brothers, just like me. Oh, yes, so you have. I forgot. Aunt Zelda smiled. You knew? Asked Septimus. I remember now. There were 2 boys at your 14th birthday party. They worked in a cave place. What was its name? Gothic Grotto, Jenna supplied. That's it, dear. I thought at the time, Wolf-Boy, that your voices sounded so alike, but it slipped my mind. 2 more of me, Wolf-Boy was muttering. Septimus could not stop smiling. Yep, 2 more of you, except they've got less hair, and they're not so thin, and they are really pale compared to you. That's right, said Aunt Zelda, pleased that she could at least remember this. At the party, you were sitting opposite them, Wolf-Boy dear. Opposite? Said Wolf-Boy, shocked. They're really nice, said Jenna. Yeah, Wolf-Boy mumbled. You could do a lot worse, said Septimus. He was an expert in long-lost brothers. Wolf-Boy shook his head. Yeah, I know. I really liked them. Matt and, Marcus. Yeah? That's right. Wolf-Boy put his head in his hands. It's so horrible. Jenna glanced anxiously at Septimus. What's horrible? She asked, putting her arm round Wolf-Boy's shoulders. It's so horrible that I met my brothers and I had no idea. They could have been anyone. I should have recognized them, he said, sounding upset. But I didn't. How could you? Said Septimus. You were only 3 months old when they took you away. Took me away? Your father was a custodian guard. He made a joke about the supreme custodian, and they took his children away, you and your brothers. Aunt Zelda reached out and took Wolf-Boy's hand. No one said anything for some minutes. At last Wolf-Boy spoke. You know, 412, it was bad what they did to us. Really, really bad. Yes, it was, said Septimus. It was disgusting. Jenna picked up the 2 gold bowls and cradled them in her hand. Sep, she said, I want to take these to Marcellus. We have to go. Now. Septimus sighed. He wanted to stay and talk to Wolf-Boy. But Jen, I told you, Marcellus doesn't have the fire going yet. It will be weeks before there is any chance of making another one. Jenna shook her head stubbornly. I have to try, Sep. I have to. It was Wolf-Boy who settled the argument. Why don't we check out the triple rules first, he suggested. There are lots of books here that you don't have in the castle. You know, witchy books. We might find a way around needing the 3rd bowl. Witches are good at finding their way around things. That's a good point, Jen, said Septimus. Jen could only agree with Wolf-Boy. Witches clearly were very good at finding their way around things. Okay, she said. We'll stay tonight and look through all the books. Supper was pig foot pie garnished with steamed eel heads, followed by a large communal bowl of cabbage leaf and marshberry jam puree, into which Aunt Zelda suggested they dip dried worm sticks, although no one did. The usual pushing of food around plates occurred, and even Septimus, who had once loved Aunt Zelda's cooking, found the pig foot on his plate hard to swallow. They helped Aunt Zelda clear the table and wash the plates. Then Aunt Zelda went upstairs to bed, leaving them feeling queasy but still very hungry. Wolf-Boy fetched 3 straw mattresses and laid them out beside the fire, along with 3 pillows and quilts. As the gentle sound of Aunt Zelda's snores drifted down the stairs, Wolf-Boy began setting up a tripod over the fire, from which a large hook dangled. What's that for? Jenna asked. The cooking pot, said Wolf-Boy, like we had in the forest. Excuse me a moment. He got up and went into the kitchen, returning with a round black pot, which he carefully hung on the hook. He threw another log on the fire, and they watched the flames jump up and curl around the side of the pot. "Rabbit stew," said Wolf Boy. "Proper rabbit stew. With good stuff in it, like—" "Rabbit?" asked Jenna. "Yep, with potatoes and onions and carrots and herbs." "No eels?" asked Septimus. "No eels," said Wolf Boy firmly. "No wormsticks, and positively no pig's feet." As the cooking pot bubbled gently, a delicious smell filled the room and ushered out the lingering taint of eel. Jenna felt ravenous. "Do you always cook your own stuff?" she asked. "I'd be as thin as one of those brooms up there if I didn't," said Wolf Boy. "Zelda doesn't mind. She goes to bed early, I clean up, and then I sit here with my cooking pot and memorize some potions or something." "You don't get lonely?" asked Jenna. "Nah, I'm not alone. Zelda's upstairs. Bert's here, and the marsh is outside. I love it." To Jenna's dismay, the search through Aunt Zelda's witchy library yielded nothing at all. As the moon rose high above the snow, and its silver light filled the cottage, they settled down for the night, pulling the quilts around them to keep off the chill that was creeping in. The cottage grew quiet, and they began to drift off to sleep, lulled by the silence of the frozen marsh. Suddenly Wolf Boy sat up. "Hey!" he said. "What's the matter?" Septimus mumbled blearily. "So what am I called?" asked Wolf Boy. "Huh?" asked Jenna. "My name. What's my name?" "Wolf Boy," said Jenna, confused. "No, I mean my real name. There's Matt and Marcus, but what about me?" "Ah," said Septimus. He glanced at Jenna. "Your surname is Marwick," said Jenna. "That's a good ancient castle name." "Marwick. Yeah, that's nice. Feels right somehow," said Wolf Boy. "But what is my first name?" "Well," Septimus sounded reluctant. Wolf Boy was getting impatient. "Oh, spit it out, 412. It can't be that bad." Septimus thought it could. "Mandy," he said. "Mandy?" Wolf Boy sounded incredulous. "Mandy?" "Yeah. Sorry, 409. Wolf Boy buried himself in his quilt. "Sheesh." Jenna and Septimus heard him muttering. "Mandy.